The Packers finally win a game, winning in overtime against Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys, 31-28, winning on a game-winning field goal by Mason Crosby. Oh man, this was a crazy game. The Packers finally stopped their 5-game losing streak, still move to 4-6, but knock off the 6-2 Cowboys in this game. Here are my thoughts and instant reactions to this one. Man, that was an insane game. It didn't look good in that second half. The Packers going down by 14 points. The first half looked great, going up by 7, potentially being able to double up after halftime. Defense let up a touchdown, tie game, and then the Cowboys go on to score 14 unanswered, and basically, the Packers looked like they might be out of it. But Aaron Rodgers and Christian Watson had something else to say. Finally, a full game and a productive game by Christian Watson. I cannot stand how many people over this whole year have been saying Christian Watson is a bust. Regardless, good game, good season, bad season, it's been 10 weeks. This dude's a rookie. You cannot define his career of a boom or a bust based off of 10 weeks. He's had bad luck with injuries. He's had some drops. He had some tonight, but he came back and he balled out. 4 receptions, 107 yards, 3 touchdowns, has that MVS stat line. And Aaron Rodgers played a hell of a game. And the game plan I did like because it featured Aaron Jones. It involved a deep game through Christian Watson, and it allowed Aaron Rodgers to be efficient when he needed to. 14 for 20, 224 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 146.7 quarterback rating. Featuring Aaron Jones was the way to win this game, and that's exactly what they did. Aaron Jones, what a game as well. Aaron Jones, 24 carries, 138 yards, a 5.8 yards per carry, and the touchdown, of course. Even A.J. Dillon with a nice running game. 13 carries, 65 yards, 5 yards per carry. This run game won this game. The Packers stuck to it. They moved the ball when they needed to. Yeah, it got to overtime. They stopped the Cowboys in overtime. The defense also played really, really well as well. Now, of course, the defense did have their issues. You allowed 28 points against the Dallas Cowboys, 14 unanswered in the second half. But it wasn't always their fault. We see, again, another Amari Rodgers fumble on a punt. I think his 5th on the year. And I've said this time and time again. He is not a punt returner. He should not step foot as a punt returner again. And luckily, we saw Keyshawn Nixon go back there, and he didn't, make a mistake with the 2 punt returns he did have. But at the end of the day, it falls down to a coaching issue here. Because when you're a fringe roster player and you barely get on the field as is, you're going to do whatever the coaches tell you to do. And in that case, Amari Rodgers is going to go back and return punts because the coaches tell him to do that. Rich Bisaccia and Matt LaFleur. So yeah, he's not good at it, but it's not his fault that he keeps getting put in that situation when he's not good at it. It's the definition of an insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That falls on coaching. And I'm glad they switched it after he fumbled. And I'm hoping they keep it that way, whether that be Randall Cobb returning this week and going to punt return, keeping Keyshawn Nixon there, putting Samori Toure, or signing an outside free agent. But it cannot be Amari Rodgers. There's time and time again, games get completely flipped or even lost because of miscues on special teams, mainly involving muffed punts with Amari Rodgers. Luckily, that wasn't the case tonight, but it ended up putting this game into overtime and a close victory for the Green Bay Packers. That cannot happen, and that falls on coaching. I don't think Amari Rodgers should be cut. I know a lot of people are going to be saying that. I think he still can be used in the future on offense in a good way. But one thing's for certain, he is not a special teams player. But as for the defense, it was more of a bend but don't break and creating turnovers. Rudy Ford got his first start at safety tonight over Darnell Savage, and this dude had the game of his life. Darnell Savage did get beat a few times by CeeDee Lamb across the middle, but he looked a lot better in the slot than he did back at safety. And I know that's probably easy to do because he was that bad at safety, and I guess all he really could do is go up from there, but he looked a lot more comfortable in that spot. And with Eric Stokes being likely out for the season, It gives the Packers a little bit more move there because obviously with Eric Stokes still in, you kind of need Rasul on the field, still in the slot. But this gives the ability for the Packers to move Darnell up, which they did, pushing Rudy Ford into stardom at safety. And he had a hell of a game with those two interceptions, those key interceptions. And he had really good, few good tackles there as well. But Dallas still burned the Packers in certain ways on offense, primarily CeeDee Lamb, 11 receptions, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns on 15 targets. CeeDee Lamb was constantly lining up in the slot, and the Packers were keeping either Keyshawn Nixon on him or Darnell Savage. I just don't get it sometimes where, the Packers have Jaire Alexander, and at least on third down, put your best corner on their best wide receiver and make them beat you. They started too later in the game, and Jaire played good. He did give up 1 touchdown on CeeDee Lamb, a really great ran route by CeeDee Lamb, pretty much a post corner. And Jaire was in cover 3, and I don't know why he was shading inside so much, but he got beat. It happens. But other than that, it was mainly on Darnell Savage, on Keyshawn Nixon, and CeeDee Lamb's a great wide receiver, don't get me wrong, but you can't leave him wide open, and you want to put your best defenders on their best wide receivers. And that's the time and time again it keeps happening with this Joe Barry defense, where you're just sitting there scratching your head wondering why. Their run game was also really good, and that's mainly because of Tony Pollard. He's a very explosive running back. I think Dallas has less of a running game if Zeke's active, because Zeke is not good anymore. Tony Pollard is much better at this point. 22 carries, 115 yards, 5.2 average, and 1 touchdown. Even Malik Davis, 5 for 38, a 7.6 average. So again, the Packers, didn't really stop the run. 159 total yards, 5.1 average. And they had a receiver go off against their defense. But other than CeeDee Lamb, no one really did much. Dalton Schultz, 54 yards. Michael Gallup, 35 yards. Pollard held in check in the receiving game, 3 for 13. But like I said, the story was bend but not breaking. Dak Prescott did not have a good game. He was off on a lot of throws, but credit to Rudy Ford for taking advantage of that. Dak was 27 of 46, 265 yards. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He got sacked twice, and he had a 78.6 quarterback rating. And also for the Packers defense, really, really good game by Isaiah McDuffie. 13 total tackles. I feel like this dude did a really good job getting thrown into the fire. The Packers were without Devondre Campbell and Chris Barnes in this game. I think it was a pretty decent game by Quay Walker as well. A couple mistakes, but he had a couple pass deflections where he was right in the mix there, or he tracked a swing route by Tony Pollard and made a nice tackle for a loss. But Isaiah McDuffie was flying around tonight. This dude looks like he did take the jump here, and he looks like a good player. So the Packers, if they have something in Isaiah McDuffie, they have a very solid depth at inside linebacker when healthy. Of course, Devondre Campbell has to get healthy. Chris Barnes has to get healthy. And Quay Walker has to fix the mistakes. But nonetheless, nice seeing Isaiah McDuffie go out there, thrown right into stardom, and produce. But overall, the Packers are still 4-6, but it was finally nice to get a win here after a 5-game losing streak where you think, another loss or 2 in the next few weeks, the season's pretty much over. They're not eliminated yet. Does this turn into a run? We'll see. They got the Tennessee Titans on a short week, coming to Lambeau, Thursday Night Football. Then they head out to Philly against a very dangerous Philadelphia Eagles team, Sunday Night Football. If they could somehow pull away a victory against these two teams, then I'll believe, hey, maybe they can turn this into a little bit of a run, potentially make the playoffs. But that is a sight to be seen yet. This is one victory. Not going to jump to conclusions, but I did like what I saw from this team tonight. A lot of fight, a lot of drive, overcoming adversity, being down 14 in the second half, coming back and winning this game in overtime. And just overall, they just played more as a team, more as a unit, and they won the football game. But those are my instant reactions to this game. So glad the Packers won this game against Mike McCarthy, the homecoming of Mike McCarthy. And the Packers, man, they have the Cowboys number, primarily Aaron Rodgers. And what a game. I mean, you don't have much hope going into this at 3-6 and what we've seen for the last 6 weeks, but I think there was a little bit of a spark there of hope with Christian Watson finally, showing what he can do. His athleticism, Aaron Rodgers finding him. He almost had 4 touchdowns if he located that one deep ball. So really excited for him going forward. Finally had his breakout game. Hopefully he can stay healthy and this Packers team can get healthy overall. But that about does it for this video. I appreciate everyone watching. If you are new here and want more Packers news, analysis, and updates every single day, go down, click the subscribe button, and also leave a like on the video. But I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Packers.